Okay, let's talk about it. If you've even glanced at the housing market lately, I'm sure you've had this thought, right? It just feels impossible. Like, no matter how hard you work or how much you save, that dream of owning your own place just keeps floating further and further away. So, what is really going on? Well, we're going to dig into that, because the one fix everyone keeps talking about, it might not be a fix at all. It might actually be a trap.
And that's the big warning we're looking at today. It sounds completely backward, doesn't it? Housing market warning, why lower rates are a trap. We're going to unpack this whole paradox, this idea that the one thing we're all hoping for could actually make things even trickier for all of us.
All right, so let's start with what we're calling the affordability crisis. And the subtitle says it all, a familiar story, because it really is. We are in the middle of a massive crisis when it comes to just being able to afford a place to live. And you know that little knot of anxiety you get in your stomach when you even think about buying a home? Yeah, you are definitely not alone in feeling that. And for what feels like forever, we've been told the same thing, right? There's this one simple fix, this one magic wand we can wave, and it's always lower mortgage rates. Just wait for the rates to drop, they say, and everything will be okay. That's the story we've been sold.
Which brings us right to our next idea, the mortgage rate mirage. Is it really a glimmer of hope? Because that's how it's presented, isn't it? It's this beautiful, shiny thing on the horizon that we're all just supposed to wait for. The one thing that's going to finally let us all buy a house.
And look, on the surface, it makes total sense. It's a basic rule of economics. When it gets cheaper to borrow money, guess what? More people want to borrow it. You can see it right here. When those borrowing costs fall, the demand for homes just skyrockets. It happens everywhere. Pretty straightforward, you'd think.
But here's the big question, the one we really need to ask. What if that hope, that whole idea we've been clinging to, isn't real at all? What if it's just a mirage?
And this is where we get to the heart of the problem. It's this thing called the rate cut paradox. On one hand, you have the expectation. We think, great, lower rates mean my monthly payment is smaller, homes are cheaper for me. But then there's the reality. The reality is lower rates don't just help you. They help every single other person who wants to buy a house. And all of a sudden, you're not just getting a better deal, you're in a massive bidding war with hundreds of other people, and prices just get pushed right back up.
So, okay, if lower rates aren't the hero we thought they were, then who's the real villain in this story? Well, it's not actually high interest rates. The real problem is something much, much bigger. We're talking about the great supply shortage. Okay, get ready for this number. 2.5 million. That is not just a number on a slide. According to JP Morgan, that is how many homes we are short in the US right now. Just let that sink in. We are millions of homes behind where we need to be. It's like a game of musical chairs, but for houses, and there just aren't enough chairs for everyone.
And this is what that shortage looks like in the real world. When you have way more people wanting a home than there are homes available, well, it stops being a normal market. It turns into an absolute battlefield. You've got bidding wars, crazy offers, and prices just going through the roof.
But wait, it gets even more complicated. The supply problem isn't just that we're not building enough new houses. There's another huge piece to this puzzle, and it has to do with existing homes. We're calling it locked in, locked out. Or maybe a better way to put it is the golden handcuffs.
So why aren't people who already own homes selling them? It's pretty simple, actually. Check this out. The vast majority of people with a mortgage right now have a rate that's under 4%. That's amazing. But if they wanted to sell their house and buy a new one today, they'd be looking at a rate over 6, maybe even close to 7%. I mean, ask yourself, would you trade your comfy 3% mortgage for a 7% one? No way. So people are staying put. They're locked in by those golden handcuffs, which means their houses aren't hitting the market, and that supply problem just gets worse and worse. So that brings us to the big, kind of scary conclusion. If lower rates aren't the answer, then what is? The answer, unfortunately, is time, and probably a lot of it. So let's take a look at what that timeline might actually be. This is the long road home, a realistic outlook.
Okay, this is probably the most important part of this whole explainer, so really take this in. This is JP Morgan's projection for when homes might actually be affordable again. The national average is 2027, and that's the average. If you're in a city like Denver, you're looking at 2030, Las Vegas, 2031, Los Angeles, 2032, and Miami, all the way out to 2035. This isn't just a short-term blip. For a lot of us, this is a decade-long reality we're facing.
And really, this quote from that same report just sums up everything we've talked about. Sure, Lower mortgage rates could nudge housing sales higher, but, and this is the key part, they won't make homeownership affordable for enough new buyers. It's just a band-aid on a much, much bigger problem.
So where does that leave us? It leaves us with a really big question to think about. Knowing that this is a long road ahead, how does that change how we think about the whole dream of owning a home? What does it mean for our plans, for our future? It's definitely something we all need to consider.